Hello and welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Pick up a free hat and or shirt like this one here. Every single year, you are a diehard. I'm diehard for this, man. I'm Johnny Venerable. My co-host, Mr. Brack, live at the PHNX headquarters in downtown Phoenix. We got Jacob, producer extraordinaire, behind the mic today. It's a special day because we welcome a bona fide stud of a rookie class here in the greater Phoenix area, Bo.
It's a beautiful day, right? The return of Marv. He's been gone far too long. It's been how many days since his introductory press conference? Too many days between then and his top 30 visit. But now it's like MHJ's here to stay for the Arizona Cardinals.
I've had withdrawal syndromes the past 2 weeks when Marv hasn't been here. And you just feel it, right? Like, I get it. He's got ties back in the Midwest. Cut that out. This is your new home now.
Oh, I mean, and it starts tomorrow. Work begins. He'll be in there on the grass, running some routes, albeit for Talia. That's
not it.
Oh man,
his third cousin's gonna throw Marvin some passes tomorrow.
Yeah, and but it's gonna happen before you know it. It's gonna be Kyler Murray tossing him in the pill, and he's gonna be ripping it down, and it's gonna be a beautiful sight.
Beautiful sight. Got over 100 to join us right away off the bat. Drop a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. It's a banner day. We're going to hear from a plethora of rookies, not named MHJ and Darius. They got their time to shine 2 weeks ago. The tip, throw a little shade at your boy in his presser today. I wonder. Yeah, maybe we'll see. Let's get to some of these super chats.
You feel like that? Like when I was tweeting that from the press conference, were you sitting at your computer like me? You talking to me, Tip?
You talking to me? What's going on here? Cardi D's talking to me. $2 super chat. I plan on flying from ATL to a live show soon. Let's do it. We're going to do a studio audience show at some point this offseason. That's a goal for this podcast.
Absolutely. We're going to do a little, maybe a little meet and greet. Who knows? We got a little bit of time between now and the start of the season. And then once the season starts, then it's just a weekly event. We're all just going to get together, hang out, watch some dubs. But yeah, I love it. Cardi D coming from the ATL. How about we got Richard? You got Richard Jobo. Your thoughts on Tip's press conference? Johnny already kind of alluded to it. I mean, you're not going to bury the lead too much, but you're just the overall Tip press availability.
I thought he understands maybe the potential pushback that he got nationally, locally, not by a lot of people, a select minority, that he was overdrafted. He is drafted on the recommendation from the folks in Champaign. It's a huge recommendation. We had his position coach on this show, and he was drafted because he's a phenomenal athlete and a really good football player for what he's been asked to do. But if you look at his resume, does his resume support a top 100 selection? I've argued it has not, based on what he projects, and he is out to prove loser haters like me wrong. So I welcome that.
He was a little bit more eloquent than that. He wasn't just out going like full, pro wrestling. Like, I'll see you in the ring on Sunday. I'll beat your ass.
Can we just be clear about something? Tip Reiman would destroy me. I would be dead in seconds. Yeah. People that day, the day of the second round, I hope he dunks on you when he meets you. Any NFL athlete would dunk on me, would dunk on most everybody that they met on the street. So can we just make that clear?
Yeah.
I'm 5'6.5".
Everybody involved in this show is yes.
I hope he dunks on you. Yes, he could physically destroy me if he wanted to. I'm here to critique what I thought was a reach of a pick, but I'm looking forward to watching him play football.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, control the C gap, right? Like
he's 270 pounds.
270. Yeah, just a couple donuts away from 275, 6'5". He's kind of a gentle giant, though, the way he described himself. You're going to hear a little bit more about our guy, Tip. Yes, Hank Hill, absolutely, and Johnny agrees with you. Tip would dunk on you. It absolutely is going to go down. So Should we get into those? Do we want to get into the press conferences?
Yeah, let's start. We want to start with Max Melton was tearing up the Twitter streets today. And think about, like, we got a little bit of taste after they drafted him on his, brief media availability and some of the stuff that Rutgers was putting out. This guy's a character. He's a big time character. And he showed up today. And, like, I'm sorry, to be a number one corner, you have to have confidence like this. It's a big deal. And Max Melton exudes confidence, in my opinion.
Absolutely. He's got a lot of swagger. He's got the Mad Max chain he's been wearing around his neck. And that's the first thing you notice. And you also notice a guy who's incredibly fit and ready to go and take the practice field tomorrow and really kind of get back to competing. And you can tell that that's where he's at his best. But, we heard from Max Melton, and, there was certainly, like you had for Tip, you didn't necessarily have the same, it wasn't as polarizing a pick to you and myself. Like, I'll stand by this, no Max Melton slander, but there were certainly opinions on Max Melton. He answered that, for those who thought maybe the Cardinals should have made a play for a Cooper DeJean or a Kool-Aid McKinstry instead of trading back and then taking Max Melton. Here's what he had to say about that.
Yeah, everybody's going to have an opinion. Opinions are like Gucci belts. Everybody has one. You know what I'm saying? So, exactly. Like, everybody's going to have an opinion. Nobody's ever going to be 100% on the same page, especially when we're talking about millions of fans, But I know come the season, once we get a couple weeks in, I think they'll be happy with their pick.
This was me in the press conference when he says everybody has Gucci belts. I'm just like, yeah.
Did Howard Balzer get that joke? Did you look over at Howie Boy and make sure he understood that reference? You actually have a Gucci belt?
I do not.
Okay.
I can't even. I think the draft night was the last time, and it's a few and far between the days that I wear a belt.
Okay.
So no, I do not have a Gucci. Let's poll the chat and see how many. We don't have to do an actual poll, Jacob, but like, just let us know.
Does anybody? We have 215 people. Does anybody here own a Gucci belt? Do I need to purchase one now? Like, I'm a slave to trends. Like, if Max Melton, if Marvin Harrison Jr. tells me to do something, I feel like I need to do it now. Is that something you can get at a TJ Maxx by chance?
If we get enough super chats, Johnny, we'll get you a Gucci belt.
Okay, great. About time I see some of the super chat money. Most everybody in the chat is saying nope. How about Joshua is saying guilty? Joshua, congratulations.
I like that. Well, I mean, we all knew some of us have a little swag, and Max Melton, apparently a lot of people in Jersey, Gucci belt is a far more common occurrence than out here in the Valley of the Sun.
Didi saying Gucci is out, Johnny. Tell that to Max Melton. Well, maybe he was making a point that Gucci is out because everybody's got one. But in all seriousness, we had an excerpt from Jeremy Fowler's article on yesterday's show on ESPN. And you talk about the fact that this guy could have taken more NIL money to go to a different university, but instead stuck it out on a dismal Rutgers team and still performed despite the lack of not even NFL talent. Like, I would argue, like, collegiate talent. Go look up that Rutgers team from last year. I think it speaks to, like, this guy unequivocally has not played his best football yet. He has not played alongside a Budda Baker, a Jalen Thompson. He has not played for the caliber of a coach, in my opinion, as Jonathan Gannon. Whereas you could argue, and I'm not rooting against him, Kool-Aid McKinstry played with studs at Alabama. Kool-Aid McKinstry was not the best corner on his own team. Kool-Aid McKinstry goes to a situation down in New Orleans where it's like, okay, I have to be the guy suddenly? Like, that to me, completely different situations, but we're infatuated, pre-draft hype. Oh, I saw Kool-Aid go on a top 10 mock draft last spring. I think that's who the Cardinals should take. Oh, I like that guy's name. I know him more. He's on more nationally televised games. That's not how the NFL works. The Cardinals would have been comfortable, it sounds like, drafting Max Melton at 35, and clearly they hedged their bet correctly because they stole a third-round pick from the Atlanta Falcons and still got what a lot of us think could be a number one corner one day.
Yeah, you have to think along the lines of, like a Richard Sherman, right? You think about him in the Stanford days. He's a fifth-round pick, and probably nobody thought anything about it. Now, that's a day 3 pick, but, Schneider and Pete Carroll looked at the tape, turned on the tape, watching him play for the Cardinal, and said, hey, this guy is going to fit very well in our scheme. And I'm sure the same thing from Monti Ossenfort, Dave Sears, to his coaching staff, from Nick Rollis and Jonathan Gannon himself, turned on the tape and said, yeah, we like this skill set. This skill set plays. Yeah. And then once they got to know the the athlete himself that he played even more into the culture that they're building. Like, you can look at it and you got Cooper DeJean, playing a big role on one of the best defenses in the country, in the Big Ten at Iowa, putting up, numbers that are besting their horrid offense as far as finding the end zone. And that's fun. That's trendy. It plays on social media. And so does Kool-Aid's name. And also, not to discount the player, but he certainly didn't have the campaign that everybody expected when he was the top corner in the draft before the 2024 season began. But Max Melton checks a ton of the boxes. He checks all the boxes for the Arizona Cardinals. And you can kind of start to see why with seeing the personality in the press conference.
People are saying, well, Johnny hates Rutgers or likes Rutgers guys now. We did a PFF mock draft. I despise the pick. Bo made it, I think, at pick 35. I'm like, what are we doing? Here's the thing.
I think it was 66.
Yikes, that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Here are things that I won't argue. Johnny Newton, I thought, was a superior prospect that I would have taken, but the Cardinals still went with a premium position. They traded down, they got another pick, ended up being Tip Reiman, and then they ended up taking a cornerback that they love. I'm not gonna push back on that. It is the antithesis of it's not what I would have done. That doesn't make it the wrong decision.
Right.
Like Johnny Newton to me was a top 20 caliber player. He clearly fell because teams have concerns, right? Draft Twitter and then, novice college football fans like myself like Johnny Newton and some other players more than the NFL did. And so Max Melton, what you can't dispute is most people had Max Melton. I would say the 90th percentile had him as a day 2 second round pick somewhere. Did the Cardinals take him like 5 to 10 spots higher than he was projected? At that point, we're just slicing hairs.
Yeah.
It's completely different than the Tip situation where it's about positional value and overdrafting. Like if Max Melton turns into a really good corner, everybody's going to say, hey, that was really good. You got your number 1 corner at pick 43. You got a really good second contract player on day 2 of the draft. That's what they want to have happen. And I trust them. Again, Gannon is a defensive back savant. He made so many guys' career in Philadelphia and in Indianapolis, guys that we wanted them to sign in free agency. Who am I to dishevel him? Just go pick your own in the draft.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's got to be at some point, and I don't know why people backpedal from the leap of faith that they took with this organization when they saw its first draft class.
Yeah.
Right. To give you any reason to, think twice about what they're doing. I mean, for especially at that position. Right. I mean, they found a guy in the 6th round in Keitrell who competed his ass off last year. And sure, he fell out of grace at some point and worked his way back. And it was probably because nobody emerged throughout the season. But, I think that they know how to scout the position and they see what tools can match their scheme and their style and that they can coach up. And they look beyond the name. I would bet that they look really at the name last. They look at the skill set. They look at the production. They look at, how they played against top talent collegiately. And Max Melton, I think had as strong a resume as anybody else. And then to the Arizona Cardinals, kind of check the boxes as far as when we talked to Jonathan Gannon in the combine, what his role was there in Indy and finding out if the guy loves ball, if the guy's a team first player. And Max Melton gave us more insight on that, and he's talking about Greg Schiano, why he's staying there in Rutgers is because of Schiano was a guy that had produced a ton of players at his position. And there was a ton of trust there between Melton and Schiano, and it worked out for him. He bet on himself. He bet on Schiano, and it got him picked, 43rd in the draft.
Yeah. And that matters. Listen, at the end of the day, it's like he came back to Rutgers. Yeah. He wanted to see it through, but he also was like, who's going to best prepare me to go to the NFL, to be able to stand out, to know what I need to do to separate myself? Do you want to go be the 10th player in line at Alabama or an SEC school, or do you want to finish what you started and compete, really stay highest level, Big Ten receivers, clearly Marvin Harrison Jr. among others, like Roman Wilson? You're competing against those caliber of players. The tape speaks for itself. His tape is elite. He played elite defensively, special teams. He's got elite ball skills. He plays outside corner. To me, it's like, I like Darius Robinson and MHJ more. We liked those players before the draft. This is the pick. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, we spent months previewing those two players, one of which was on this show back in February. The Melton pick is the easiest one to go 180 on, where you're thinking to yourself, I don't really get that. And then 20 minutes later, like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense for what they want to do. So I'm not going to listen. I like the Michael Wilson pick last year. It was like, oh, that seems a little high. A lot of people had him as a fringe day 2 pick. He missed a bunch of time. Then guess what? The smart people with the Cardinals now made the right decision. So yeah, every draft that goes by, we're going to prepare ourselves for a couple picks like this. We're like, oh yeah, this wasn't who I love. This wasn't a draft darling. We didn't get quote unquote a steal here. But you know what? At the end of the day, can they play or not? You got to trust the people making the picks. And thankfully now this franchise, Bo, is prioritizing drafting and developing. So I'll take that over the Kim Dichis of the world any day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's hear from Max Melton. You mentioned he stayed at Rutgers and continued to match up with some of the top talent in that conference. And look, it wasn't lost on him. He knew exactly what was going on each time he would square up against a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., his new teammate. This is what he had to say today.
Yeah, absolutely. It was no secret at all. Like, I came into college, though, guarding Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, man-to-man, just with a post safety. Like, that's it. So I've been guarding great wide receivers for 4 years now. So going against Marvin, like, it was no secret. Like, yeah, he's Marvin Harrison. Like, if I do good against him, my stock is going to rise. Like, it's no secret. But I just go into the game with the mindset of I'm going to do what I do every week and just try to shut him down. And I feel like I did good my junior and senior year in doing that.
Love the confidence.
Yeah. Beat him up twice. And again, something that's circled on his calendar every week. Just like, I mean, a bunch of other defensive backs, cornerbacks had that mindset in the Big Ten. How'd it work out for him? Not well. How'd it work out for Michigan? Michigan almost lost the Big Ten in the Big Ten championship game. Marvin almost beat Michigan by himself with a rag arm quarterback in Ohio State. And it didn't matter. Michigan had how many players drafted? And then there's one guy for lowly Rutgers that beat up Marvin Harrison Jr., according to Marvin, better than anybody else. I said it's a pretty big, glowing recommendation. So yeah, he is set up for success with his coaches, with his peers. It's hard to play defensive back in the NFL. It's damn hard to be a number one corner. But you think about, Bo, like October, November, December, when we start to see kind of the uptick, I think it's going to be the opposite of Michael Wilson, who took over camp last year and it was evident. I think Max Melton, it's like by the end of the year, people outside of this organization are going to look at that pick and say, man, it's really good value. That's a player on the rise for Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah. And he said so much, right? He's like, people are going to understand couple weeks into the season that I was well worth it. Like you can kind of forget doubting the Cardinal selection with the opportunity of getting a Johnny Newton at a different position or two players that play similar positions. Like, and you're watching, Cooper DeJean, he's not playing outside corner consistently. Okay, well, Max Melton is, and he's playing well. Or Kool-Aid McKinstry, hopefully he's healthy enough to where he's playing at that point, but that remains a question mark. And as far as, what caliber, high level he's going to play at for the Saints on their defense right at the gates.
We're fired up. We got over 300 in the chat. Drop a like on this video. I want to get to these super chats here. Before I do, I want to tell you about our friends at Circle K. I'm fired up every day to talk about Circle K. It's America's thirst stop. I mentioned Michael Wilson. He's a member of the Inner Circle. You can too. I'm a member. Bo's a member. Producer Jacob, he's a member.
Of course.
It's America's thirst stop right now to save you money. I'm in for saving money, especially as the summer begins to heat up in the desert. I also don't want to be stuck without any gas. And so here's what I do. I save money with the free new membership program that is the Inner Circle. Save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. So you can go sign up right now on your mobile device, smartphone, then drive down the street, get a Circle K, and save 25 cents per gallon, saving money right away. Then after your first 5 fill-ups, you're still going to save 3 cents per gallon every single day. So it's not like this expires, no expiration date. It's like once you're a member of the Inner Circle, that's it. Done deal. You're saving money. And in the meantime, enjoy your member exclusive beverage deal. So it's hot as hell outside. Go inside. Inner Circle members, you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 69 cents from now until September 3rd. Again, that's like 3.5 months of cheap Polar Pops for 69 cents. But you got to find it on the Circle K app, Inner Circle Plus offers. Again, in the app under Inner Circle Plus offers to be able to get that sweet, sweet deal. Join the Inner Circle today for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply, Bo, at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details.
Not everybody, as we're learning on this show, has a Gucci belt. That's unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, I've realized that mostly everybody's rated our friends of Shady Rays online 5 stars. 300,000 plus people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, and you can get 35% off these unbelievable sunglasses. We are giddy to be partnered back up with our friends over at Shady Rays, and our partnership is going to save you money when you purchase Shady Rays right now by utilizing the code PHNX when you check out. You got to check them out right now. Why 300,000 people are giving them the 5-star rating online. Their shades, durable frames, crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all of your outdoor adventures. Get your Shady Rays today. Do not delay any longer. Looking at them right now, they've got something for everybody. You got the aviators, they're tangle free. You got the Talons, you got the Caimans, you got the classics. I personally have got the classics. I know Johnny rocks the classics as well. It's the one just below Johnny here on our YouTube show. 35% off polarized sunglasses right now by utilizing the promo code PHNX. Exclusively for our listeners and our viewers, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the summer season. ShadyRays.com, code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Just like everybody has an opinion, they've got a Shady Rays 5-star rating.
They should. I got a big trip planned at the end of the month. Vacay, wife and I, first thing I did, 2 pairs, Shady Rays, please, with the bonus code PHNX. Saved a truckload of money. Cardi D back in the super chat, $5. JV was on Locked On. Was a dope surprise. I hope that wasn't a secret laugh out loud. No, our guy Alex Clancy, friend of the program, Bo's former running mate at Locked On Cardinals, had a chance to connect with Alex for his show today, and a lot of good insight. We love Alex on this show.
Yeah, hope he's doing well. I hope you're doing all right, Alex. Everybody help Alex Clancy out. The guy, he didn't understand. Do you know what two-factor authentication means?
Yeah, you have to be able. Yeah, it's twofold.
It's 2024. Everybody knows what it is. He doesn't. He got locked out of his Twitter account. It's gone. He's got to rebuild his following. So find him on Twitter, and if you can stomach his horrendous tweets, give him a follow.
So like his old account, somebody just has now, and they won't give it back to him?
It's just dormant. He can't access it.
Wow.
Hilarious. I don't even know if I was supposed to tell that story, but you know.
Can't get Elon on the phone? Maybe get a quick DM to Elon. Ghost of Pat Tilly, $5. Jones is a lean 305 pounds.
Man. Yeah, Christian Jones.
Yeah. Good to be able to talk about him. Is that too lean for a tackle, Bo? Is he gonna have to play guard?
No, he's a guy, and he started at like 240. He was a soccer player, and he had to beef up during his time at University of Texas, and he certainly had the ability to do it. He teamed up with his parents and got on a nutrition plan and got up to 305, and he chalks it up to genetics, and he thinks if he needs to get a little bit bigger, he can certainly do so. So I don't think that that's going to be an issue.
Richard, $199. Tip not afraid of birds.
No.
Tip Reiman addressed that today. Media asking hard-hitting questions here locally in Arizona. You knew that was coming up.
That was what ended the press conference. That's where the Cardinals media relations like, okay, this thing is off the rails. We just had like 5 questions in a row about Tip Reiman's his hobby, which is kind of surprising to a lot of people.
What is it?
Yeah, well, let's get into it. How about Tip Reiman talking about what he does in his downtime?
If I've got my pottery wheel with me and do pottery, throw a lot of pots. That was both my sister's wedding gifts was like sets of plates and bowls and mugs and all that. So I like to do that stuff. Gifts for people doing that. And then, around here, Illinois is a great place, but there's not a lot of hiking. And I'm a big hiker from South Dakota, western South Dakota. And so out here, there's naked mountains out here, not as many trees, but that's up north, I suppose. So we'll be hiking a lot.
Did you not know that about the pottery?
No, Tip
Reiman, confirmed pottery guy.
That's a very genuine human being right there.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we don't ruin him. I hope this show doesn't ruin him.
You're trying your best, but
I am. Naked mountains and pottery. That man.
That was a first for me. I mean, it made sense. Like I knew exactly what he was talking about, but it's just like, Never thought to call our beautiful red mountains.
That's the most innocent man I've ever seen in my life. And I've been to Champaign, Illinois countless times. I mean, they get after it on campus. Dude, did he like live alone and just do his pottery, his arts and craft, and go block people into oblivion?
Yeah.
That must have been his routine, I guess.
Just lets him escape, like after he's busting heads, he's out there just ending people in the C gap, and then he needs to go unwind. He's going to fire it up, and he's going to just churn out some of the most gorgeous pottery you've ever seen.
It's like the scene from Ghost. I like this comment here. Ryan, after he crushes your spine on the field, he can make your urn. Listen, all I've heard is about these blocking reps that he's had. I haven't seen it yet in person. We get to see it on display tomorrow. So here's what I got to work with. He was a top 100 pick, didn't have much production in Illinois, makes pots, calls mountains naked. I need to see him laying people out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I need to see it on display. Can you take an undrafted free agent and put him into the stands tomorrow?
I think they need to sign you to a one-day contract, get you out there, play your reaction to the Cardinals selecting him 82nd overall, and then he'll just erase you a couple times, and there you go. There's the proof that you need.
And then he's got to line up on Max after that, and we'll just play the sounder of him reacting to you drafting a Rutgers corner.
Josh was saying JV was going crazy at the Illinois campus parties. Yeah, there was a bar called Cam's that you could get into. I mean, I've looked like I was 12 years old for 20 years, and I would get in there before I was of age. Let's just say that. And it's just sticking your feet to the floor. I think it was one of those bars where you could get in underage, but you just couldn't be served. And I'm like, how is this allowed? Of course, you'd find a way.
I'll take a Long Island iced tea, please, sir.
Can I have a Diet Coke, please?
Let's take a look.
Hey, fifth grader, get out of here.
Let's hear from Tip, which I think is the clip that Johnny may be referencing earlier in the show, where was he talking directly to my co-host about the criticism? Here we go. You guys decide for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, but that's okay. If you look at me, just like a big white dude from the Midwest, like just probably a good blocker, can't really move, it's fine. But all these awesome opportunities, just like you're saying, to prove people wrong and prove myself right. So it's something I'm fine with. I like to earn stuff. So
here, listen, we'll just be real here. After our broadcast on day 2, and Bo and I were critical. Maybe I was overly critical. There was a comment in our YouTube that felt very direct and almost like it was a family member of Tip. Hopefully it wasn't coming after your boys. I would venture to say that Tip has seen something to some degree of our coverage when he was. Yeah,
I don't think that we're the only ones that feel that way. Like that.
But if on social media, it's made out to be that way.
Yeah,
I agree with you. But
there were several questions about where he and when he was drafted from several members of the Cardinals media. Like people wanted to know and get answers as far as his thoughts. And like if he anticipated being drafted that high.
But see, we're authentic. This is not tongue in cheek. I'm being genuine. We're authentic on this show. You want us to come up there with a shtick dog and pony show and just slobber over every pick. We're not going to do that here. We did 15 straight hours of NFL draft live coverage. We're not going to love every single thing Ossenfort does. That caught us by surprise. And I outlined exactly what I didn't like about it. So the difference is, who in this media market has the stones to do that live publicly? There's one show, and you're watching it right now. So, again, remember that. You can love the Tip pick. When this team gets bodied by San Francisco or the LA Rams or whomever, we're also not going to come on this show and play patty cake and say, we're good.
Right.
Like, we're going to call a spade a spade. That's what that was. We did not love the pick at the time.
Yeah, and then also we'll be there to celebrate when Tip pancakes somebody.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll have egg on my face and 100%. 100%.
But I'll come to your defense. It doesn't make when you talk about value, top 100 pick, and what if his role is strictly just pass block or run blocking tight end. I'm still going to be like, I probably would have tried to find somebody that could start for you, could play way more snaps. That's the big sticking point on this.
It's like you make some investments and they pay off, and you've got a little extra scratch. You're like, I'm going to take this. I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to splurge and buy a flat screen TV, or I'm going to go on vacation, do something for me. The Ossenfort selection of Tip Reiman was a selection of a player and a pick that they didn't have pre-draft. We just mentioned it. The Max Melton pick, they doubled down. They traded down. They got Atlanta's second rounder. Then they traded down again, got an extra 6. Then they took Tip Reiman. It's not like they took Tip Reiman with a pick before they had in the draft that was locked and ready to go Thursday and Friday night. It's what's called a house money pick. So if Ossenfort wants to take that house money pick and do, something a little out of the ordinary, I'm not going to sit here and say he's not allowed to do that. I see in the chat, Jack Smith saying Baldy says Tip's the best blocking tight end in the draft.
Yeah.
Number one,
on the show.
He better be.
Yeah.
Because he was a top 100 pick. He was the second tight end drafted. We're talking about blocking. There are blocking tight ends available every offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are they cost controlled? Are they young? Do they have injury concerns? But what are we talking about? We're talking about blocking for a position that, number one, is one of the most devalued positions in the NFL. You have your top 10 golden goose, and Trey McBride's in that group. You already have one. And then you're talking about a position that a lot of teams just don't value.
Right.
And then you take one that is predominantly known for blocking. Well, that's why it might be a reach.
Yeah.
It might.
Jeff Swain was playing around 40% of snaps. Yeah, he was. Absolutely.
What about the other 60%?
He's going to be a high end, backup player. He's not going to be, he could start potentially if they come out and, 12 personnel potentially. But let's get back to Tip and wrap up Tip's, his press conference availability. Yeah. So we got into the pottery, we got into how he's answering criticism, and then this last one, just kind of who he is. It kind of echoes a little bit of what you've already heard from him, but this is Tip breaking down himself.
I feel like a lot of things are nurture in life, but this one I feel as nature. From the day I was born, my mom and dad told me stories about how just kind of aggressive and physical I always was, and from getting kicked out of the flag football league, for tackling, to making any non-contact sport a contact sport. And, it's like I went a little overboard in a lot of ways growing up, and so I think it's just kind of innately in me, and that's the fire is definitely growing.
This is what you want to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, for the role he's going to play, you want somebody that just wants to go out there and just run into some things. And that's what Tip Reiman's been about his entire life. So Michael's
saying, can we really name that many third round picks from 10 years? Come on. Well, you can't for this franchise because it's been brutal. But for the franchises that prioritize, here's the standard. Tip Reiman was drafted with a higher pick than they used on Michael Wilson, who was unequivocally their second best.
And Garrett Williams. And both those players
are going to be starters this year and play premium positions.
Yeah.
We were just conditioned by Ossenfort. I thought they got their splurge pick out of the way with Trey Benson, but they need a back. They need an heir apparent. We didn't argue that. Shit, you got the second best back, maybe the best back in the draft at pick 60, whatever. Awesome. And then it was just what are we doing? So I'm rooting for him. He's going to look good in shorts. I'm going to tell you right now, when you see him out there, and if he's all 6'5", 270, and Bo, you saw him in person today, you can attest to this, and he's going to be putting guys that are probably not long for the NFL on their ass tomorrow. People are going to be fired up. We got to see him, how's he going to do on the edge trying to handle Nick Bosa and Seattle's revamped defensive line and everything going, Jared Verse for LA. That's the standard I need to see now.
Yeah, but also to Max Melton's point, playing in the Big Ten, he faced a lot of top competition in that conference, which is that's got to have you feeling pretty good about what his role is going to be. It's very specific, right? It's going to be in pass pro. It's going to be in creating rushing lanes for the running backs. Look, if he can thrive there, it sounds like he's geared up to do so. And then you're going to see okay, can he catch enough passes when his number's called, when Kyler Murray finds him wide open? can he make a play? Can he, one, secure the rock, and then two, can he make a play?
Chase saying, I don't think Tip will look good until full pads, Johnny. I would argue he made his money this offseason not in full pads at Combine. I guess he didn't. Was he even at the Senior Bowl? He was at the Shrine game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I expect somebody that physically imposing to be able to make an impression.
He's an athletic freak.
That's why they picked him.
Yeah. I mean, Tip Reiman, and he said this, like, before he went to the Shrine Bowl and before he started getting measured, before he went to the Combine, like, he was expecting to be himself. He's like, I'm a 6th, 7th, maybe an undrafted guy. And then they start seeing, like, him put up these numbers.
Say that one more time.
Tip Reiman believed before he started to do the pre-draft process, coming off
when football was done.
Yeah, when he was done at Illinois, when he was done playing for the Fighting Illini, he said, and he acknowledged this, he felt like he was a 6th or 7th round pick, maybe an undrafted guy. And then he goes to the Shrine Bowl. They start measuring him. He starts doing one-on-ones, and beating up on, some poor souls who are, on the other side of him. And then, putting up stupid numbers at the Combine. And then he's like, okay, from the intel he was receiving and the feedback, then he was like, okay, I think I could be a day 2 guy.
So Tip's own assessment of himself, not what he could do, but where he was slotted to go, maybe is more in line with what you and I initially thought. I'm a 6th or a 7th rounder. Oh, wait, I'm actually a top 100 pick.
Yeah.
And again, all this would be eased to some degree. Like, they have the best tight end they've ever had in the history of Arizona Cardinal football. Not Cardinal football, but Arizona Cardinal football. Number 85, Trey McBride, is going to be a superstar if he's not already. So that's what makes the pick a little bit more confounding. But I listen, I like what I see from him. Looks like a great guy, great human being. We're rooting for him. I'm rooting for
Naked Mountains, pottery. He admitted that the birds, saying that birds weren't real at the Combine. He said that was a joke.
I think I'm done. I think I'm done with that storyline too. If that gets brought up again by a media member, you need to call them out.
Okay. Like I said, it ended the press conference. They're like, okay, we've hit, we just jumped the shark. It's time to end this thing.
We not having enough other questions to ask. Topic 64, $4.99. Tip is not messing with JV. He's a Christian, but he is motivated. Well, listen, I respect his religious choices, but I want to see top 100 picks ball out on NFL Sundays. That's what I would like to see. I pray for that to happen.
Richard, $1.99. Tip believes in birds. Yes, he does. Chris, $1.99 super sticker. Thank you, Chris. And then we got our guy Tribe 7 even, $2. The offense, like the Steelers, run first then pass. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Kyle Shanahan offense.
Yep.
2 tight ends, but like the Cardinals don't have their version of who's the halfback for Juszczyk.
Yeah.
Can this be a bigger Juszczyk? Maybe.
Yeah.
Juszczyk's valuable for San Francisco. If this is Kyle Juszczyk 2.0, not on steroids, but you know what I mean, he's much bigger than Kyle Juszczyk, then it's a good pick. And I asked Brian Baldinger if he could play H-back. I asked his offensive line coach if he could play H-back. He can play H-back.
Yeah.
Will they play him at H-back? If they line up tomorrow at minicamp and they're doing formations and he's at H-back, then it changes everything. If he's just at tight end, I think he's got a ceiling on what he can be, in my opinion.
Yeah. But our guy Joey, $1.99 super chat. OGs and Polar Pops sound like a hell of a summer. Absolutely.
Greatest summer.
Yeah. Elite. Come out of the heat. Get a nice, refreshing Polar Pop. Tough to beat.
Yep. Goes to Pat Tilley's back, $5. That was a compliment for Jones. Big, agile, former soccer player. Equals good footwork and still learning. And it's funny, it goes to Pat Tilley. Like, Bo and I talked about this. Like, the Mims of the world, the guys who are overly big, you know what I mean? Like, that's concerning. Yes, they're athletic, but the weight, you can always put weight on at the NFL level. It's hard when you're not overweight, but you're on the precipice of, are you too big? And then you get to the NFL and there's more resources available. There's more food available. And it's just some of these guys just can't keep Mekhi Becton can't keep the weight off. So if you're going to give me the alternative, like, how about a guy who's like Paris Johnson Jr. He's lean. Christian Jones is lean. They need to put on 15, 20 pounds. They can do that. The guys are like 360. That's a problem. There was a player that the Cardinals took out of LSU. Remember, his nickname was House. He was a tackle out of LSU. Took him right around the pick Christian Jones was. I think it was a 4th round. And let me know if anybody knows his actual name in the chat. He couldn't keep the weight off. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys that are mammoths at the collegiate level, and then people are like, yeah, he'll slim down in the NFL. It never works like that.
Right. I mean, there's some guys that gain 10 pounds and they look at the snack table incorrectly. It's tough. It's bad body dudes. Like Christian Jones is the opposite. Like he was a, in shape, not in shape. In shape's the wrong way. He was just played at a lighter weight for a sport where you have to be a little bit lighter on your feet. And for him to be able to play at a bigger size, but also have, be nimble. I mean, that seems like it's a pretty good combination for somebody trying to play tackle in the NFL. Like if he can get up there to the weight he needs to be that necessarily be effective at that position. I asked him outright because I heard Monti Ossenfort say this on NFL Network Radio, saying that, they want to see if he can be versatile and be somebody that can play out, just more than tackle. Can he play inside at guard? And he said, whatever's going to lead to us getting the dub, I'm willing to do that. So, but he also did admit he'd only played really one snap inside, and that was at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
So not a lot of experience there, but I think you really have to like what you heard from Christian Jones. We do have one clip here from Christian Jones.
Yeah, let's see it.
He was asking him about the tight-knit group that is the offensive line group, and he was immediately welcomed.
First vet I met was Paige Johnson out there. Dabbed me up. He's like, "Let's get to work." I was like, "All right, bet, yes sir." So, that's who I met off rip, but I'm already I'm gonna meet every single guy, and I'll be able to pick their brain, you know what I mean, and really just learn from them. But I've been watching a whole lot of film of them, and yeah, they look like they're communicating great, like they're a real tight knit group as you need to be, because offensive line, like I said with football, like if one person's off, everyone's off. But for sure at O-line, like it all starts with us. So we all had to have one set of eyes, one brain, and working towards the same goal. So I can't wait to meet everybody else.
Just a high level guy.
Yeah.
That played at big time college football. Like this franchise, and we talked about it yesterday with Brian Hartline, has been immune from drafting players like this for 10 years under Steve Keim.
Yeah.
What do I mean by that? That young man was a 5th round pick, started 48 games for a team that was consistently in contention for a national championship, played in the college football Final Four, and could have easily been a national champion this year. And like those are the kind of players that you're getting in the 5th round. Guess what? He may never be a Pro Bowler. I think I have a pretty good idea of his ceiling and the competition he faced, albeit in the Big 12. But Texas played a tremendous out-of-conference schedule. They're always playing Alabama and LSU. Like, those are the players, when they fall to you, you thank the football gods and you say, I don't really care what position, left, right tackle, maybe interior. He's a good football player. He's not a finished product. He's not as polished as Darius Robinson and MHJ. But the 5th round, look at some of the 5th round pick. Like, respectfully, there's a kid, I think, named Dorian Johnson.
Yeah,
that was a 4th round pick that never played a snap for them. Where did he go to school, Bo?
Pitt.
Yeah. Not Texas, not contending for a national championship.
It seems so simple, right? It's like, I love that clip. He says the first guy that welcomed me is a 2nd-year player out of Ohio State, Paris Johnson Jr., who plays a premium position, already taking kind of, I'm not going to say like he's full-on leader. He is, but, just by going and welcoming, the 5th round draft pick, to the team. But that's, PJ goes up to him. He said, let's get to work.
Yeah.
Like, welcome, let's get to work. Like that's, as simple as all that sounds, it wasn't happening in that building for far too long, if ever. And now, like, they're taking guys out of big time Power 5 schools, Texas and Ohio State, and they're leaning on guys who are big, physical, and athletic, and they're going to have their coaching staff say, "Hey, we can work with this," because the other, like, you've got far too many variables at play here. Is their game going to translate to the next level? Like what we saw, at the collegiate level, is that going to translate? Like that's there's so much that goes into it from playing at UMass instead of playing at a high competition like you do in the Big 12, the Big 10, the Pac-12, RIP, the SEC, of course. So, it's so refreshing, right? And it's just so many different examples that we see on a day-to-day basis. And it just makes too much damn sense.
Well, like people be critical of the Illini picks. Number one, I trust Brett Bielema with offensive linemen more than just about anybody in the Big Ten or in college football. And number two, like 2 years ago, those are two players in Tip and Isaiah that started. Isaiah or Isaac? Isaiah Adams. Isaiah Adams that started on one of the most prolific rushing games in college football. They lost their quarterback and their running back. And then they were asked to play out of position this year. And their offensive line coach came on this show, their offensive coordinator, and said they were selfless and they did what was best for the team. Like, just again, look at the transcript, look at the history. Like, I like Andy Isabella, but when Andy Isabella was coming out and all the stats and the statistics said, oh, he's going to be a great player, look at who they played that year. Look at UMass's schedule. Look at the highlights that he had. It looked like a Division III school. Right. Look at Zach Wilson coming out of the draft, the COVID year for BYU. Who did he play against? I want guys who play at the highest level, especially for my first couple picks, especially for the top 100. And he's done that. We may not all agree and love every pick, but you can understand the rationale. The floor was so low with Steve Keim. Every draft pick, it was either I'm going to revolutionize the NFL, I'm going to revolutionize the off-ball linebacker position, or it's going to be a disaster. Now it's just, hey, this guy played tackle at Texas. He's going to come maybe be our swing tackle. We took him in the 5th round. Hey, that's it. That's it. Legitimately, we're back to just smart people running the organization. Finally.
I mean, it lemons the bustability, right? You take the guy out of UMass and sure, like the prospects that are getting nitpicked that were not overlooked, but maybe it was paralysis by overanalysis or not even enough. Like DK Metcalf. I mean, what are we doing here?
I mean, it's not.
You take Andy Isabella at 5'8", 5'9" on a good day, and you take him over the 6'3", 200+ pound, sub 4.4 40 running DK Metcalf because people nitpicked his shuttle drill or his cone or whatever it was. I don't remember, he didn't have enough body fat percentage. Right? It was too low. It was like, what are we doing? Like lean into those players. Don't like, if you want to have a draft where you have the exception to, the rule, go ahead and do that. But to do it in this, especially day 2, 2nd round, especially with you're doing it with the pick that you got wrong, you get the pick for Josh Rosen. I mean, it really is. It's insane. And that's how things ran for so long.
Like you say insane, like they just weren't very smart. Like I saw a tweet from Josh Weinfuss today. And I don't know if you had heard this while at the facility, Bo. Mm-hmm. The Cardinals, according to Josh Weinfuss, parted ways with director of college scouting Josh Scobie after 15 seasons. So a lot of these guys, the Keim holdovers, were either released last year or they got 1 year maybe to find another position, and now they're done. All the people associated with Steve Keim, for the most part, high-profile jobs, scouting jobs, personnel people, they're gone now. Like, that's not by accident. And it's not to say Josh Scobie can't go have success elsewhere, but Jason Light was a big part of Steve Keim's success now, and we've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, Scobie was out there in Mobile. He was instrumental as far as this draft class. He was participated, I'm sure, in the bulk of the interviews. And the 5 guys that played in Mobile that they drafted, I'm sure he was in on all of those, right? And like it was, I'm sure they liked Josh. And in Weinfuss's tweet, I think he mentioned, wasn't it like a mutual parting of ways for the most part? Yeah. So it's not that they didn't feel like he was equipped to do the job. It was he'd been with the new regime for a year. They'd been with him, and he's probably going to go. That's a big job to have that he held for a while, that he's going to probably go get another good job in the league. Yeah. And then Monti Ossenfort's going to get somebody that he really wants to have in that position.
Probably somebody external. I mean, just like they want diversity in their experience. And for whatever reason, with the Arizona Cardinals dating back to the early 90s, it's been internal promotion after internal promotion. And that's not to say there aren't good holdover scouts still with the Cardinals. Steve Keim was a scout, and Rod Graves had been there forever. Their draft process, their personnel and developing process was broken. It was the worst in the NFL. So, I mean, you got to get a second set of eyes. And you can be critical of Michael Bidwell. I'll give him immense credit for one thing. Well, for a couple things, but one thing in particular. Adrian Wilson would have been the trendy decision the year they fired Steve Keim. He was in-house. They could have promoted him. He was close with Adrian Wilson. The fans love Adrian Wilson. He did not do that. Adrian Wilson left the organization. Quentin Harris left the following year. He hired Monti Ossenfort, who is a New England disciple. He was hell-bent on finding somebody else to come in. And you know when you bring external people in, they're not here to fluff you up. They're here to expose and tell you what your flaws are to get better. Internal people are going to say, hey, look, I drafted this player and look at all the good stuff we've got going on. That's fine. An external person is going to come in here and basically reevaluate everything you do. And that's what Ossenfort and Dave Sears and Jonathan Gannon have done. So, I mean, say what you want about Michael Bidwell, that we were hoping that they would go that route, and he did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I mean, you're seeing it with the Suns, right? You're seeing an owner that has every intention to do what it's going to take to win.
Yes.
And it without the experience and trying to do it without, good people around you, it's tough. It's really tough. Like you can have the best of intentions and trying pull out all the stops, spend the most money, get the best players. But, sometimes if you don't get it, it's not always going to work. And I see it's probably an unpopular opinion to see a lot of Bidwell and Ishbia as far as the lumps that he's taking. Like Bidwell obviously has the issues as far as where he cut costs as far as the facility and stuff. But as far as roster wise, he was willing to do anything and everything to do that and win. But at the same time, like that can be a misguided approach. You have to learn how to win. It's not the same as mortgages. This is professional sports, and there's ways that you have to put yourself in a position and learn and move forward. That you can't. Sometimes you get in a position where you're doing the same thing. It's the definition of insanity, expecting different results, and it's not going to come.
Sometimes you just have to get lucky too.
Yeah.
Ian Cunningham told the Cardinals no.
Yeah.
And then the Cardinals got
Bruce Arians back in the day.
That's right. Bruce Arians was going to take the Bears job. The Bears thought they were going to hire Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians wanted to have Todd Bowles as DC. The Bears weren't vibing with that. They hired Mark Trestman. So the Cardinals were the last coach to be hired that cycle. They got Bruce Arians. Ian Cunningham right now is still with the Bears in an executive role. The Cardinals offered him their GM job. He said no. So they hired Monti Ossenfort. That's going to age pretty well. Mm-hmm. I think Michael Bidwell was due for some good luck. That's pretty good luck. And I'll tell you right now, Monti Ossenfort, if he wasn't the biggest reason, he was one of the biggest reasons they were able to hire Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You got the Cunningham, you got the guy that's running the show in Washington. I'm not convinced that Washington's approach this offseason with all that money and all that draft capital is
Ron Carthon in Tennessee.
Right. I mean, all those guys that were saying, thanks, but no thanks. Like I'm going to go to what they believed was a better situation where it's like, you kind of like, and it's tough. I understand it. Like, this is your life. This is your opportunity. And sometimes it's your first and only opportunity.
Right. And the Cardinals had bad press at the time.
You got really bad press. But if you're like, hey, this is a blank canvas, I can do with what I want with it. And Monti Ossenfort, man, he's crushed it so far.
Who else is crushing out? Our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. They're going to be able to crush on your financial acumen in the best possible way. Right now, if you're looking maybe to have a savings account, a checkings account, they've got you covered. But what about a mortgage, brand new mortgage, a loan, a credit card, investment options, and more? It's like, I just want to go and be educated. All right. This is not, a transaction. This is a partnership with Desert Financial, the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals, PHNX Sports, and the Venerable household. That's because for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make life better. Represent the Red Sea right now with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Show your team spirit, Bo and Jacob, by opening up a free checking account online. Get an Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card in the process. All you got to do, check out desertfinancial.com/Cardinals to get started. It takes a matter of minutes to open up your free checking account online. Debit card is going to be in the mail a couple days after the fact. Desert Financial, help them level up your financial solutions today.
Yeah. start a savings account, and maybe you won't be the only one of your friends without a Gucci belt. We're going to help fix that for you with our friends over at Desert Financial. Another way that's going to be able to help you save money, but also not feel like you're slumming it, eating delicious meats and seafood and poultry from our friends over at ButcherBox. We love ButcherBox, and we're going to save you money by signing up. Your first order from ButcherBox, you can save $20 and get free meat. Check it out. Go to butcherbox.com/PHNX and use the promo code PHNX when you sign up, and you're going to get $20 off your first box and free meat. Don't miss out on this. It's so convenient and it's so delicious. I got my box last week. It's unreal. Got 2 delicious steaks, got a couple chicken breasts in there, got some pork ribs, and also got endless amounts of ground beef. We're going to be grilling up some burgers, Johnny. You want to come over and eat maybe a quarter of a burger and leave the rest of it up for my kid to eat? You're welcome to come over. We love leftovers here at the Brack residence. So check it out with our friends over at ButcherBox. ButcherBox.com/PHNX with the promo code PHNX. It's going to save you money. It's going to get you free stuff. You're going to love it. ButcherBox.com/PHNX promo code.
The only thing colder than that read is the fact that I just looked on Twitter. Michael Penix is rocking a new number in Atlanta, number 9, assigned previously to Rondell Moore. Rondell Moore gets to town. He's a part of the trade. He says, "Oh yeah, I'll take a single digit number 9. I had a single digit in Arizona." No, actually, Michael Penix is taking your number, Rondell. And oh, by the way, Greg Dortch has your old number, and Arizona's got number 4. So,
we got the update today. BJ Ojulari wearing number 9.
It's good for him. I like that. He deserves a single digit. He made a sacrifice for the greater good of the organization, and I say that 100% with sincerity. Gifting MHJ number 18. He deserves a single digit. That looked good on him.
Yeah.
You just got to.
He had Desmond Ridder that came in. He had number 9, and there is the Rondell Moore treatment. It's like, hey, new guy, give up your number or get lost. No, they probably weren't that harsh.
Well, Desmond Ridder's fine. He does not. Ain't no world where Desmond Ridder should be rocking a single digit for this team. He's on now.
Quarterback. He's the backup, probably.
Maybe. We'll see. Low Brock, $1.99. OGs and a Polar Pop. The Dream. What is that word?
Wacky slush?
Wacky slush, maybe? Yeah. Don't.
So taking a couple of the delicious, bouncy, succulent gummies and popping them in your Polar Pop? Sounds like it's pretty good.
Responsibly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Richard.
Fruit, creams, what are we doing? Which one are we using?
Yeah, probably the cream. Richard, $1.99. What are O-line dinners at? Where are O-line dinners at? Paris Johnson Jr.'s house? Probably. Or, Will Hernandez's place, maybe.
Yeah, Yelda Froholt. They still got a lot of vets in that room.
They do.
I love that room.
Libertarian Sasquatch, $1.99. Keim would pick MHJ at 4 and have him sit this year. You joke about that. I was thinking about it. Would Steve Keim have taken Marvin Harrison Jr.? I think there's some doubt that he would have taken him.
First off, it was Keim. This team is no doubt in my mind picking 1-1 this draft.
He'd be taking Caleb for sure. Caleb wanted to be a Cardinal.
They would have bought him out even worse. He probably would have done. There have been shenanigans with Kyler coming back.
Been traded for a second rounder.
The toxic culture would have continued. There's no way they really win any games throughout the year, and they're the Carolina Panthers of the 2023 season, and they go 1-1, and they tried the hard reset at the quarterback position, even though they have to. Just, hey, you empower your quarterback, set him up for success, create an infrastructure. Who knew a guy with a skill set like Kyler Murray could be successful?
Wow, who knew? Richard, $4.99. Who wins a championship first? Diamondbacks, Suns, or Cardinals?
Wow.
It's a tough question. I think the path for the Cardinals is easier than the Diamondbacks. So I think it's between the Suns and the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I think the Diamondbacks, I hope they rebound. They're having a tough start to the season. Feel like they caught lightning in a bottle last year, and like that was the time. I mean, the Dodgers are a juggernaut. I mean, look at the quarterback landscape in the NFC. Like Kyler Murray could do some damage, but
even if he does, you got final boss Patty Mahomes there at the end. You got to beat the Chiefs. You got to beat them. That's going to be tough.
I'll say Suns.
They don't even have a head coach.
They fired their head coach. I'm coaching the Suns this year.
I mean,
They lost to the team that might win the championship, though.
yeah, but they got swept.
I mean, but if they win the championship, the Suns head coach this year, he was terrible. He's legitimately, they never look good at all this year.
I don't disagree with that. And then you got the Diamondbacks who were so close. Can they get back there? I mean, if you're just looking at this and you're like, okay, well, the Diamondbacks were in the World Series last year. The Suns still have the big three intact. But if I'm thinking about a team that's trending and going in the right direction, if the players that they selected, if they can pan out, it's a quick way back to contention for a playoff spot. And then the next season with more savvy moves, you're right back into it. I think maybe the Suns is maybe the only one that you could say, hey, with the right decisions this offseason, can get right back into it next year.
Yeah, I don't think it's like with the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals, I think it's still very much personnel.
Yeah.
With the Suns, it shouldn't be personnel outside of maybe a tweak at point guard. You could literally bring a coach in that's high level. You get Kevin Durant's buy-in, and you're a contender again. The Cardinals don't have enough defensively to win a championship, and I think the Diamondbacks, I mean, offensively, they've had a tough time. Producer Jacob is probably better equipped to speak on this. Where are the Diamondbacks' shortclomings right now, producer?
So Jacob was out of the room. It was probably best for the early part of this conversation, so you and I could have the floor. The question was asked, Jacob, by one of our super chats.
Okay,
who's going to win a championship first? Suns, D-backs, or Cardinals?
Bo and I both agree, real quick, that the Suns have a better opportunity of the three. But if we're doing Cards versus Diamondbacks, where are the Diamondbacks' shortcomings right now?
Man, like it's tough to say that it isn't injuries right now.
Okay.
They have about 10 guys that are contributors that are all hurt and not playing, which is lovely. They just got their closer back, Paul Sewald. He's kind of a staple of the bullpen, and he's kind of the glue of that.
Mm-hmm.
So their bullpen was pretty miserable for a majority of the bulk of the season. And in the 4 games that he's been back, they are 4-0. The bullpen has been lights out, and the offense is starting to score some runs. But other than that, like, they were 14-20 was kind of the low point at the start of the year. And it was mostly just because they couldn't score runs. And when they could score runs, the bullpen couldn't hold anybody from scoring. So it was a little bit of everything, but it seems like they're starting to piece some things together and that they're turning things around. There's a pretty big test this weekend in Baltimore, though. Bo can probably speak a little bit more on the Orioles there. But, yeah, we should see kind of what this team is made of. But I would say, if anything, the bullpen looks a little bit weak from time to time, but we'll see.
Great assessment. The smart asses in the chat bringing up the Coyotes.
Is that I think that's what Jacob.
They're back. Yeah, I think they're back.
I will always be objective, but overly confident in my Arizona Cardinals. Coyotes in the chat. How dare you? That wound's still fresh here. Come on now.
What else we have for some super chats? Great question.
We don't have any more super chats, but we do have a supersized quarterback in terms of yoked Kyler Murray here, looking to just slay this season. Okay, so I saw this picture I posted. It's from the Cardinals, AZ Cardinals. This is a man that's going to have a career year. Yes or no?
I mean, he just looks locked in, and this picture was probably snapped May 8th. It's May 9th today. Have we ever seen him as focused as this at this point in the offseason? And he's there. Obviously, he's got the $1 million workout bonus and all that, but he's bought into JG, the culture for the Cardinals. I'm sure he's pumped about all the moves that they made. That was on full display draft night. This guy's ready to put together, and he has the infrastructure around him to have his best career as an NFL player.
That's a killer right there. Let's see it one more time, producer Jacob. This is a guy in the peak of his physical prime, back from the ACL with a very competent coaching staff, probably the best he's ever had since Lincoln Riley. And he's got a plethora of backs, tight ends, linemen. He's got the 4th overall pick at his disposal. Like, look out. For people who are sleeping on this guy, the only thing that's going to hold him back is health. If he plays 17 games this year, they are making the playoffs. He is going to the Pro Bowl. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. Yeah. Every year since Kyler Murray has been in the NFL, outside of his rookie season, when he's played the majority of the season, they have been either in playoff contention or they've been in the postseason. Like I expect that to continue. He carried a middling to below average roster at the end of last year with the hardest strength of schedule to almost 500. That is commendable. You can't tell me right now. Everybody's going to look up the first Sunday, and we'll know next Wednesday who they're going to play the first Sunday of the NFL season. He is going to put up about 3 touchdowns and over 300 yards in a W, and people are going to lose it. They're going to be, oh, where's Kyler Murray been? He's right here, crushing it this offseason. Looks fantastic.
That's strength and conditioning. You don't even have your coaches out there on the field. You've just got the training staff, right?
Yeah.
And he's got the pissed off LeBron James look in his eye. He looks like he's about to tear somebody's head off right there. And as I said, it's May 8th. You look at the final 3 games of last season, where this is a team that wanted to ground and pound you and then, set up the pass. I mean, he goes over 70% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. That was in Philly. And had a quarterback rating of 108. Like that's what's possible. And probably for the first time in his career, it was trending up going into the end of the season, finishing a season. So, I think that they want to obviously hit the ground running to open the year and then consistently, bully teams and play their style of football. But yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, the only thing that's standing in his way is what I think is a fair criticism is if he's able to stay healthy enough.
Because I see people in the chat talking about maturity. Here's what I'll say on that. We're all better in our professional careers when we're surrounded by good people. We're only as good as the people around us. And I think, yes, Kyler Murray has had some shortcomings, excluding Bo Brack. Kyler Murray might have had some leadership shortcomings early in his career. Okay. That's been documented. Look at the infrastructure that he had and ask yourself how many young quarterbacks could have sustained what was going on behind the scenes, on the playing field, lack of development, coaching staff, GM, owner, and made the postseason in the division with Kyle Shanahan, Pete Carroll, and Sean McVay. Now, okay, yeah, he looks great. He's primed for a rebound. Oh, he's got competent people around him. This is a man's game. This is a difficult game. You can't do it by yourself, right? This isn't tennis. Right? You're not going to be able to go out and just carry a team every single week. Carry a franchise. He was dubbed the savior when he got here in 2019. So now it's just like he's a big piece of the puzzle, but he's part of the puzzle. He's part of the infrastructure. He's being challenged by the coaches and the executives and the general managers, and he's responding to them. And he's taken on a leadership role. It's just like this has always been there with Kyler. And I am very steadfast in my opinion that he was held back by this franchise, by the people who are no longer here. And that's unfortunate, but better late than never to get him some adults that can help him grow and get to where he wants to be as a professional.
For sure. And he came in a baby and he had a lot put on his shoulders and probably was unfair. And he had a head coach that was
20 years old.
Overmatched, and you had a general manager that didn't really know how to put pieces around him for success. Right. But I'm not going to make Kyler Murray completely, like he had his role. Like he had things as far as the maturation that he had to learn. And I think 2022 was a huge part of that. Right.
Yeah.
And when he came back from that injury, like he was locked in, but he also had an organization that was empowering him, that was challenging him. He's a competitor. Like at the end of the day, he loves to compete. And if you're challenging him off the playing field, he's going to be engaged, and you can tell that he's engaged even at this stage in the offseason. So I just think it's a good marriage between front office, the coaching staff, and their franchise quarterback. It really is. Like you can make all the jokes you want, but you bring in a guy that in Brian Hartline, who told us yesterday, in Marvin Harrison Jr., who could just cruise to big time NFL deals and have a good career, just being who he is with the skill set that he was blessed with. But he's obsessed with the game of football, and Kyler Murray is just as obsessed as Marvin Harrison Jr. is. And to have people around him like MHJ and JG, they're equally as obsessed. And that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I can't think of a better threesome offensively. And I put Trey McBride in this group too, but like the high picks of Paris, Marvin, and Kyler, all knowing the expectations that come with being a high pick, playing college football at the highest level, and Kyler Murray taking a leadership role with those two players. I mean, it's just like, it's the perfect storm right now. Like, people who scoff at this team, oh, they can't make the playoffs, they're going to have a losing record, like, just not paying attention. Just not paying attention. They got too much talent. We got a lot of talent on display tomorrow. Dobson Ranch keeping it 100. Second annual golf tournament, Bo. I think we're at max capacity, but that doesn't mean shouldn't come out, maybe hit the links, do a little big driving.
You can't just tell people to come out.
Well, I mean, on the tees, come out on the tees, not the tees, but the driving range.
The driving range,
Yeah,
yep.
come out on the driving range.
The driving range is it's unmatched in the Valley of the Sun. What they've got going on there at Dobson Ranch, like there's other places around the valley that try to do that, but
yeah,
they've got the best games. You can go out there and just strike some balls and have a good time. Have a blast while the PHNX crew's out there and everybody's having a good time keeping it 100 in the second annual golf tournament, the scramble that tees off at 7:30. Jacob, we are sold out.
I believe that is correct. We are sold out.
Officially sold out. So you missed your opportunity to get in there, but you can still maybe check in on the festivities. Don't want to miss out on that. But then we got a bit of a day tomorrow as far as this program goes.
We have Marvin. Not in the morning, but Marvin in the afternoon with Johnny and Bo.
Well, I'll be
on the
show
show
in the morning.
Yeah. Bo will be out there. So Bo will have highlights from Minicamp, PHNX _Cardinals. Tentatively.
You don't have to say this.
No, I'm not. You want me to say that? Yeah.
Okay.
We got a big guest tomorrow. We hope.
Yeah.
We hope. Yeah, she's a big one. I'll tell you what's big right now that's not sold out, unlike our tournament tomorrow. How about the PHNX Cardinals newest t-shirt at the merchandise locker, the Phoenix Cardinal t-shirt that you can get right now for free by becoming a diehard at gophnx.com. Bo, check this out. My favorite animal next to my favorite stadium, next to my favorite flag. How about that? That's called the trifecta right there. A triple threat t-shirt, the Phoenix Cardinal tee. Love it on the black. The colors pop. It's the hottest new release at the merchandise locker. Get it now. Become a diehard, you get it for free, Bo.
Yeah, you get it as your annual free tee or hat. You get becoming a diehard. You also get that exclusive entrance to the member Discord. There's so many incentives to become a diehard that you don't want to miss out on that. Go phnx.com. It's only getting better, and this is just the beginning for this podcast, this team. It's so much fun what's going on as far as this community. So huge day tomorrow. Marv's debut, Darius Robinson's debut, Max Melton, Tip Reiman, like all of them are going to be out there on the field. It's going to be a packed house on the gridiron. And then probably we get one of our white whale guests that we've been chasing for a long time.
We hope.
Yeah.
We hope. If it doesn't happen, we're gonna power through, and eventually it will happen. But we're working hard behind the
Digital
scenes.
Dust. Digital Dust makes a good point here. Johnny just said our female guest. She's a big one. Probably not the best. She's big personality, huge get if it happens.
We're working hard for this group.
Yeah.
And Fridays on this program on PHNX Sports, these are not throwaway shows. Sometimes they're the best shows of the whole flipping week. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star. We got a couple super chats here. Illa Dre, $1.99. Friend of the program, Illa Dre. Greg Dortch will get to 1,000 yards this year. Would be a tremendous year for Greg. Be a tremendous accomplishment. Every year.
If Greg Dortch is getting to 1,000 yards. Like I would love to see that, but ahead of MHJ.
It's double-digit wins if he has 1,000 yards.
MHJ or something went horrendously wrong. Like MHJ, Trey McBride, Michael Wilson.
When he's on the field, he's always open and he's always making plays. Richard making plays. Another super chat, $1.99. JG wants effing killers. Well, he's got one at quarterback. Look at that photo and tell me Kyler Murray is not ready to slay this NFL season. Look at that. That's a killer of an NFL quarterback if I've ever seen one. You think Brock Purdy looks like that right now? Hell no. People were talking about Brock Purdy's arms. Oh, he's been lifting. Kyler Murray is ready to retake this division, and I can't wait to see it. I wish it was opening NFL Sunday tomorrow.
if you missed our interview with Brian Hartline, you can find that on our YouTube page, PHNX Sports. While you're there, subscribe. Don't miss out on any of the great content from us here. PHNX Cards, PHNX Sports. Follow Johnny on Twitter. Follow PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter as well. Follow me for all the updates from practice tomorrow. We'll hear from JG right around 9. Players at the practice field, 9:30. If you're looking for that. Barring any breaking news, there's been a lot of it today, but hopefully not with the Cards. We'll talk to you tomorrow, 4:30, right here, PHNX Cards.
We all silly like the mayor.